specifically Steve Nash, taking some criticism.
Thank God.
You know, the leader of the criticism parade is Nick Wright. He's in full costume with one of those large scepters leading the parade down the street. Nets were up 17, end up losing by 7, Nick.
Shame.
How much blame does Steve Nash deserve for last night's performance?
A bleep ton, Wilds. That's the specific amount. A bleep ton of criticism. Here's the deal.
Got you.
I'm not going to kill him for the egregious challenge because Kyrie lied to him for reasons that I can't figure. Kyrie knew he fouled him, was like, hey, there's 2.5 minutes left in a playoff game. Use our valuable challenge, even though I slapped the other opposing team's player right across the hand. Like what Kyrie was doing here, but it is Nash's job to not, just listen to his players blindly with 3:20 left in a 5-point playoff game, but he did. I'll let that go. And I have been adamant that I think he's running Kevin Durant into the ground since Kevin Durant is playing 40 minutes per game since March 1st, and KD seems to be wearing down. But you know what? Sean Marks has built a team that has no other forwards. So maybe it's not Nash's fault. Have you noticed that, by the way? That the Nets have their starters, and then off the bench, there's Claxton, who replaces Drummond, Dragic, and Mills. It's like, wait, what are we missing here? Oh, yeah, any other forwards. They waived James Johnson. And Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge don't play. I assume it's because they stink. So I'll even give Nash a pass for that. Here's my question, though, Brew, because you and Wilds have said I'm too hard on Steve Nash. Do we all agree he is not in charge of the defense? Like, that's not, they didn't hire him like you're going to design a defense. No. He's there to theoretically help design an offense. My question is this. Do the Nets run an offense? Someone's like, hey, what offense do the Nets run? What would anybody say? Because you have the, quote, most skilled duo in NBA history. And here's the shots you got them last night in the second half. Show me the shot chart. Can you get these guys one easy look? Not just contested long twos, otherwise known as the worst shot in the sport? That every single time, Brew, the Celtics call timeout, you know what they get? A good look. They don't always make it, but they get a good look. Can you please draw up one easy look for Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving? Shouldn't be that hard. So my question is, what does Steve Nash do? What is it like? Well, at least he's great at what? Hugs? He seems to be a great hugger. KD seems to enjoy those. Aside from that, what is it?
Look, I hear you. I'm certainly not killing him for, my God forbid, Kevin Durant play 40 minutes a game for 2 months. Oh, my. All right, I'm not killing him for that. And you're right. He's not in charge of the defense. And look, the defense was actually good last night, except, of course, for the fourth quarter. All right, but up to that point, they had played pretty well. But he's being outcoached. Ime Udoka is definitely a better coach. And their team is, you can see it. They're more disciplined. They've got an identity. Their defense is obviously better. But Nash does have some things working against him. One is that his team hasn't been there, right? Kyrie Irving's just popped in and out of the lineup for most of the year, and now he's there full time. Ben Simmons isn't there, so the guy you lost for him, James Harden, isn't there as well. And as you said, they don't have a lot of forwards. I consider Bruce Brown a forward, but he's only 6'4". So he's got some limitations that he's been given, not to mention Kyrie Irving don't really want to be coached, right? I mean, Kyrie told him we don't need a coach. And that there's no doubt that all has set a bad tone where Nash is only so much in charge, okay? But, Nick, I wasn't sure where you were going, but I do agree that my one problem with Nash last night, because I put most of this, you're talking about a ton, I put a ton on KD and Kyrie, period. But Nash is supposed to get them easier looks. He's supposed to be able to get them free for some open looks. So I'll give you that. That's what I have a problem with Nash. Maybe you saw Durant bringing the ball up a lot. Kyrie was off the ball. I do think Kyrie's more of a two guard, but still, I would have wanted to see him more on the ball because Durant was struggling. And if your strategy was, well, let's put it in Kevin's hands from the get-go, maybe they won't be able to double him as easy. easily, and he can have some momentum going downhill. He might be able to get better shots. Maybe that was your thought, but it wasn't working. And so give the ball to Kyrie so he can get get guys in the right place. Wiles, let me say this last thing before you go. Nick, you said what offense do they run? They run ISO and pick and roll and drive and kick. That's it. It's a simplistic offense, and that is why it's been so easy for Harden's here. He's not here, but he comes back again and he fits in right away. Kyrie can pop right in. That's why it's been simple for guys to drop in and be able to play relatively effectively because it is so simplistic. And honestly, that's how KD and Kyrie won it. Remember in Golden State where KD was bucking against all this passing? Let's go ISO. That's what you need in the playoffs. So that's what his two stars want, Wilds, and that's what he gave them, and they struggled.
See, that's the thing. I'm okay with collaborative leadership, Nick. Like, it's not college. He's not Jay Wright coaching a bunch of 18-year-olds. If Steve Nash can go into the huddle, and I would be fine with this, and say, KD, what should we do? What do you want to do? I think that is totally fine. The idea that he has to like drop play like it's football, like he's Bill Belichick, like, hey, this is exactly what we're doing. I'm the expert. I have an issue with that. This is on KD. The same thing happened with Embiid was not playing well, and in the post game said Doc told me to score. That's it. And he had to become more aggressive. This is on KD and Kyrie. I don't think Steve Nash has to turn into Phil Jackson, diagramming the triangle to get KD to make a 10-foot jumper.
He doesn't have to be Phil Jackson. But right now, they might as well have Jermaine Jackson as their head coach. They're getting the same value out of it. Let me give you a very simple example. Brew. Peyton Pritchard is a 6'2" scorer who was a great college player who most of us thought would be an unplayable playoff player because he is such a disaster defensively. You should be able to attack him every single time down the court like a perimeter Enes Kanter. They played him 16 minutes last night and were plus 15 in those 16 minutes because not once did someone on the Nets sideline say, okay, typically we like to do this, but none of our guys can score. Our offense is stuck in the mud. Maybe attack the tiny, slow kid who has no business being out there. Nope. Just let him be out there, help them on offense, and you don't punish him on defense. That's coaching. And the idea that we're just going to be like, well, because this is all because people like him. And I understand this makes me maybe a bad guy. But we can't just have these sacred cows of, well, listen, Nash is a fun guy. He's a nice guy. Everyone liked him. So the fact that he got hired to coach the most skilled duo in NBA history, and they're falling on their faces, well, you can't criticize him. I mean, listen, $10 million a year to coach a basketball team. What do you want? Coaching. I would like some coaching if I'm a Nets fan. I'm not, but that's what I would like.
He's not Phil Jackson. He's not even George Karl, all right? But I don't think he's as bad as you're making it out to be. And look, you said you killed Mike Budenholzer just like this a few years ago before they won the championship.
No, not just like this.
We just saw somebody killing Nick Nurse. I've seen you can second guess all types of things from a coach when the players miss shots. Now, what I will give you is that the Nets should have been hunting Peyton Pritchard, right? That's what they should have been doing. They're switching everything. Okay, so we're going to hunt Pritchard and get him on a KD, on a Kyrie, and expose him. And that's what they didn't do. So, yeah, there's stuff that Nash could have done, and that's where my biggest problem was with him last night. But I'm with Wilds overall. This is on KD and Kyrie more than it's on Steve Nash.
Of course it's on them more than him. But I would like, as a defensive Nash, someone to present me one thing he does well. That's it. Budenholzer, I said, great regular season coach, wasn't good in the postseason. I want to know one thing Steve Nash does well as a head coach.
Vibes, dude. Vibes. Hey.
You thought the vibes in Brooklyn were good this year? I didn't.
Sometimes, dude.
I actually thought the vibes were crummy.